Bojo, Tanse, Kwekwe, Sego. Gabrielle Fayant Indigenous, Fishing Lake in Donjiba, Ottawa in Donji, Anishinaabe Aki in Donji, Kitchissippi in Donji, Makwado Dam. So what I just said in Anishinaabe Moen is hello. Well, I said hello in many different languages, actually. Sego being the traditional language here. And I also said, my name is Gabrielle Fayant. My family comes from Fishing Lake Métis settlement in Alberta. And I currently live in Ottawa, the capital of Canada, and which is also located on unsurrendered, unceded Algonquin territory. And it's very important that I acknowledge that, and thank you for acknowledging the territory we're on today. And I also lastly said that I am Bear Clan. So the reason why I do that is because language is very, very important to what animates me as an Indigenous woman. So I'm going to get back into that after. So my perspective is coming from an Indigenous woman, a young Indigenous woman's perspective. And what animates me and my community and my city and my nation and many nations across Turtle Island is my culture. And so our cultures are very different from territory to territory, from nation to nation, and even within our nations, culture can be very different. So there's many different protocols, many different teachings. So I can't stand here and represent all Indigenous women, all Indigenous youth. I can't even represent Métis people, even though I am Métis. But what I can tell you is my own story and my own perspective. And so I've come to these three actualizations of what really animates myself in my own community, and that's definitely one is language. The second is the drum, so whether that be a big powwow drum, big grandfather drum, or a woman's hand drum, that's definitely really important. And thirdly would be laughter. So I'm going to touch on all of these. The first one, language. So my talk is the heart of a city. And so in Anishinaabe Moen, the term for heart is Ode. And so that term alone, Ode, is represented in many, many different other terms. For example, there's the heartberry, which is strawberries. And there's a lot of different teachings that go along with that, teachings about love and respect and about women and respect for that women and family values. There's also the word for drum that comes from that term, the heart. So that big drum, if you've ever been to a powwow, I hope some of you have. If you haven't, that's okay. Definitely go check out a powwow. I really encourage you to do that. Everyone is welcome at a powwow. So that word for a drum comes from that word, the heart, because it's the heartbeat. That's what that drum represents. So whenever you do come to a powwow and you hear that drum, I think your heart will be called to it. And that's something that has definitely happened to me in my lifetime. I grew up in Alberta and I came over to Ottawa. And so as I did that with my mother, I really lost my culture. I lost connection to my roots. And so I lived without a strong connection to any kind of culture for a very long time. It wasn't until I was probably 19 I heard that drum again. And it connected to my heart right away. And ever since I've got that calling, I surround myself with the drum. So even being here in this room, as alive and happy as I am, I feel a disconnect because that drum's not here. I really wish it was. And so now I sing with a big drum. I sing as a backup singer or an echo singer. And I've picked up the language because of that as well. Through those songs, that's where our oral stories come into play. Those songs are stories passed down from centuries of knowledge keepers. And I also sing with a women's hand drum group. And so we call ourselves Spirit Flowers. And we're 4 young women from many different backgrounds myself being Métis, another being Inuk, Inuit woman, and First Nations, 2 other First Nations women from different nations as well. And so that drum, whenever it's around, I feel a sense of belonging and I'm alive. And then so that third point that I come to is that laughter. So no matter where I am, I could be in a big room like this or just even at someone's house, as long as there's that drum there and we're telling these stories and we're laughing, I feel happy, and that's what I need for my own healing journey. So there's something so beautiful about how we laugh. Our laughs even tell a story. And if you ever get the chance, I strongly suggest you go on YouTube and Google 5 ways a Native women laugh. And I think you'll get a good laugh about that. You might even see yourself in there as well. So this culture that I talk about, it has been here and it has existed in this land for centuries before any of these big buildings ever existed. And so it will continue to exist long after things change and maybe these buildings aren't here anymore. That culture will continue to live on. And so that's why you see many Indigenous people upset today about how the land is being taken care of, because it is that connection to the land that keeps our culture alive. From the drums, that's where our drums come from, is from the hunt, where the food comes from, the stories even. And so that's why Indigenous people will continue to protect that land as time goes on. And that's my that's my digital drum telling me that my time's up. So with that, thank you so much for listening. Miigwech, hi.